Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Alright, so how do I start this video? Maybe I should start it just by, expressing my sentiment. Here it is. Hell frickin' yeah, Tim Pool. Now that is what I am talking about. I gotta tell ya, I'm not the biggest Tim Pool viewer. It's not because I dislike him or have anything against him. We all just curate our algorithms and our subscriptions and, we gravitate towards the people that really speak to us. But I have to say, after this encounter, Tim Pool might make it on my list. Because this little encounter between Tim Pool and your average Reddit leftist, well, it just hyped me up like I haven't been hyped up in a while. Let me just say this. The clip that I'm about to show you guys in this video is the reason why leftists don't show up on discussion panels, why leftists don't show up to debates, or on a lot of these podcasts. It's pretty much the reason why Kamala Harris didn't go on Joe Rogan's show. They don't show up to these debates because they don't know anything. And the moment the conversation gets at least a little bit honest or goes into details that the establishment shoves under a rug, well, that's the moment you get a leftist looking like a fish out of frickin' water. And that's exactly what Tim Pool did here. He exposed a larger left-wing racket. And let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so it's a little bit of a long clip. I'm gonna try to edit it down at least a little bit to avoid, some dead space and irrelevant points or repeated points. But just a little warning, it's gonna be a little bit of a long clip. But trust me when I say you'll enjoy it. Take a look.
The month that they should get. I do respect the fact that they were prosecuted in a court of law, and I don't think Trump, to send a message to his base that what happened on January 6th was good, which is why he would do such a pardon, should be pardoning folks who were violent. Or
I think 3 years is long enough.
Yeah, and that's a wrong stance, but okay.
How's it wrong?
I just explained it to you.
No. You didn't. You said the court process should play out the way it is. My opinion on the amount of time should be served for a crime is not just wrong because you like courts.
No, I get that.
You need to explain
I'm saying
why the time frame I'm asserting should be longer than 3 years.
No, I'm saying the default, you have to have overwhelming, compelling evidence that someone has been wronged to justify a president stepping in and saying, I'm subverting the justice system outcome. Do you agree with that premise?
No.
That's immoral.
So you're making a fascist argument.
A fascist argument?
You are making the fascist argument that the hierarchical structure of government is just and should be upheld regardless.
Why? Okay, I'm not going to ask that. This is
right. And so the system we have is
I'm just not loving, and this is a way of celebrating violence, that Trump is celebrating those as far as a pardon and in his rhetoric and in his national anthem thingy, people who attacked the Capitol. Why did they attack it? Because they believed lies about the election.
There's a variety of reasons why people were violent on January 6th. Largely that they believe the election was stolen.
You could just be like, hey, that's bad. You don't have to keep going.
I've called for their arrest and prosecution. This is not a shock to my audience.
My reporting is responsible for the arrest of a couple of January 6th
My point is that if you've got somebody on a misdemeanor charge who's been held without trial, a pardon makes perfect sense, unless you're a fascist. And the system is just. So it's like Benjamin Franklin, who said it is better that 100 guilty persons escape than one innocent person suffer. You've taken the Otto von Bismarck approach of it is better that 10 innocent people suffer than one guilty person escape.
No.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you have.
No,
right?
I
So
haven't.
No, stop. You don't know anything about these January 6 cases. You don't know why these people are in jail. You don't know that a man is in Brooklyn right now for 3 years without charge or trial. And when Donald Trump says these people have been held for too long, you say, no, Trump is wrong. Keep them locked up. That's fascist. Dude, you've been sitting here with no knowledge of the specifics of some of these cases. There is a man in Brooklyn right now, I'm going to say it again, no charges whatsoever brought, and he's been in jail for 3 years. For you to sit there and say it is good that he remains locked up is fascism. That is saying the hierarchical system of the courts and the government is just, and the process is all that matters. And I am saying perhaps 3 years is enough, because I actually have moral logic and an understanding of these cases. Hence, my position on January 6th has always been the people who have attacked police must go to prison. But 3 years is a for assault on an officer. We have seen people on the far left, notably when they were firebombing shit all across Minnesota, 33 people murdered. And how many criminal charges do we get for this? When they firebombed a police station and forced the police to evacuate. How many of them who never showed up on that day are in prison for 20 years? Enrique Tarrio wasn't even in D.C. on January 6th. And you are saying that man his only crime was, quote, don't leave. That's his only crime. You think he should be in prison for 20 years because you're a fascist. You don't care what the facts are. You don't care if this is unjust. You only care that the machine state has decreed you are not to be locked up. And this is the problem I have with the left. They don't know the facts. They don't care about the facts. They view morality as a blanket government stroke of the pen. And every person, regardless of their crime, should be in prison for decades. I reject it outright. The people who fought cops should go to prison. They did. It's been 3 years. But when you've got people who are on misdemeanor charges for having walked into a building at 4 p.m. after the riot, and I know some of these people, they walked into a building for 2 minutes and walked out, and they got 18 months for that. I don't see you defending the innocent people who walked onto a public grass at a public building after a riot had been completed. You don't know. You don't care. You've taken a tribal position and people are suffering because of it.
Now you see exactly why I'm hyped up for this video. And it's not just the energy, which of course I appreciate. No, what's really got me hyped up is the fact that Tim Pool, honestly, in this moment, he spoke for me. I mean, I've been talking about this a lot lately. Just the lazy rhetoric and lazy talking points of the left and their constant appeals to authority. On so many of these issues, they have no freaking clue what they're talking about, but they all sit there in their little bubbles and just regurgitate the talking point. Oh, well, the state said this. Oh, the experts said this. Oh, the court said this. Therefore, we must not question any of it. It's all legitimate, and simply move along. No, no, that's not the way this works. If you're going to sit there and advocate for people to rot in a prison cell, if you're going to celebrate and claim that it's the right thing to do, well, you better be able to at least back it up with some of the evidence, no? No, of course not. That's not the way that it works in left-wing politics. It's just make the statement and then say, well, the court said so. Well, the expert organization said so. Therefore, that's not a frickin' argument. That's called being a mindless drone, a mindless NPC who simply goes along with whatever the establishment is saying. And this, of course, is all the left seems to do these days. You know, they talk a whole lot about fighting for the little guy, taking on dark money in the shadow billionaire class, but each and every single time, all these leftists do is parrot the talking points and uplift the narratives that the establishment and the shadowy cabal wants them to uplift. They're a party of simplistic black and white narratives and emotional appeals, and you see it in their talking points all the time. These people can't critically think, they just say things. Everything's a narrative. Oh, my insurrection. Okay, well, can you define insurrection? Can you explain to me what these people did to deserve 17 years in prison? Are many of these individuals in solitary confinement or facing 3-year prison sentences simply for existing on the day and walking in the Capitol? Can you explain? No, of course they can't, because they know nothing. All they know is, oh, insurrection bad. I saw a couple of videos of some pretty hectic stuff, therefore, the state's right, throw all these people in prison and lock them up and throw away the key. Well, young leftoid, did you know that these people were ushered into the Capitol? Did you know that the doors were open for them? Were you aware that there were agitators in the crowd? Were you aware that there were FBI agents in the crowd that engaged in illegal activities? No, of course you don't, because you spent the last however many years watching MSNBC, where they told you the exact opposite was true, and you didn't do your own research because Brian Stelter told you not to, and so you just bought the narrative hook, line, and sinker, and now when you're stuck having to defend your talking point, well, yeah, you get it, flopping like a damn fish on the deck. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. I can't stand the simplistic black and white narratives. You see it with everything. If there's a police-involved shooting, where Democrats can create this racial dynamic, automatically they omit all the facts. They're not interested in any of the facts, and they just push the narrative. When it comes to billionaires and their demonization of success, it's the exact same thing. Elon Musk just wants to work for himself because he's a billionaire, and all billionaires do is promote legislation that would enrich themselves. Okay, well, can you explain that? No, they can't, because it's just a talking point. That's all these people do. Talking points. I mean, here's a great example. We all remember Fani Willis's case, of course, that's completely fallen apart. Well, the whole case was built and predicated on the idea that Donald Trump tried defrauding the system with his fake slate of electors. We all remember that, right? Well, do you ever remember any leftist or any talking head in the media defining what actually happened? You know, breaking down where the actual crime occurred? No, of course not. They just all went on for months saying the same damn thing. A fake electors scheme, a fake electors scheme. They all bring it up. They bring it up in debates. But then when you question them, when you say, well, can you explain it? All of a sudden it's crickets. You know what it really feels like is that the Democrats are just lazy. They've gotten too comfortable. They've been winning for too long. They've been controlling culture and the public discussion for too long. And of course, social media platforms, they're used to being in this position where they could just lie with impunity. But I guess, times are a-changing. And I don't think they've caught on yet. Gone are the days where Democrats can craft narratives out of thin air. They now have to engage in conversation. They have to engage with the facts. And obviously, that's their absolute worst nightmare. This right here is why leftists run away to Blue Sky. This is why they don't show up for debates or don't show up on Tim Pool's show. It's why they don't show up on Joe Rogan, because a little bit of scrutiny, truth, is the antidote to the poison that they constantly push. Anyways, hats off to Tim Pool. Fantastic job. One of the best clips I think I've seen in a very long time. That's pretty much what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.